Oh, wait a minute, we just got... I think your other daughter, Nigel, just coming in. So, for the last time as President, welcome fellow Rotarians and guests, and good afternoon. Yay. It's a delight to see so many people here to celebrate what's going to be a new presidential year, and find out some of the plans that Nigel and his team have for the next year. I'd like to welcome just a few people. Specifically, we have Barbara Broadbelt, who on July the 1st will take over as our district governor. Peter Armitage, who is a guest speaker for Nigel. Nancy Wall, who is coordinator for our award-winning Interact Club at Queen Elizabeth Sixth Form. And Tony Jackson, who is president this year at Spennymoor Rotary. And I know Nigel has some other guests that he may want to introduce later. But first, our Governor-elect, Barbara Broadbelt, would like to say a few words to us. So over to you, Barbara.
Thank you, President Sue. Thank you, Nigel and members, for inviting me to be with you. I did, can I bring greetings first of all from President Arthur, who we did our handover last night, and members of Durham Elvet. I searched the internet for significant events that took place on August the 8th, 1923. I wasn't around then, so I had to resort to the internet. I struggled to find anything in history that really matches your club record for your 97 years of service and friendship. Rotary, as most of you will know, was founded in 1902 in order that professional people with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas and form meaningful friendships. Now more than 1.2 million members are made up of families, friends, neighbours, leaders, problem solvers, all who unite to take action to create lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. That is25 years, no, let's get it right, 75 years ago on this date, the 26th of June, 1945, in my favourite city in the world, San Francisco, the United Nations was chartered. It was signed, the charter was signed by 50 representatives from 50 countries, many of whom were Rotarians or who had Rotarian advisors. The vision for the formation of the United Nations was promoted by Rotary and its members. Rotary and the UN have shared many visions and areas of focus: humanitarian service, universal understanding and cooperation, economic development and the development associated with World Health, all of which are reflected in Rotary's 6 areas of focus. That's a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Because we were involved with starting the organisation and helping it to form. In May 2010, I was privileged to actually lead our district group study exchange team to Upper New York State, and to have the pleasure of visiting the UN building in New York. A fantastic experience, one that will remain with me in my memory for a long time. Rotary's special relationship with the United Nations continues with UN celebrating World Rotary Day in October each year. Your club epitomises the reasons why Rotary still exists today, working to fulfill the needs of your community at home and the communities abroad. Okay, we're facing challenges posed to us by the worldwide pandemic. We have to embrace the change, modern technology, and ensure that we use it to a greater extent. And we probably are using it to an extent that we never thought we would need to. We are from necessity having to think differently, plan differently, act differently, but ensure at the same time that we remain connected with our communities and engage with our communities and our own club members. The theme for this year, which was adopted by Holger Knack, who's the incoming RI president, is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Let's seize all the opportunities that come our way. It may prove that we have challenges to face, but we face them in a unique way, in that we are facing them together. Let's not think of them as being challenges, but let's think of them as being opportunities. So thank you for today. I'm looking forward to listening to all your plans for next year, and I wish Nigel all the best for his coming year. And Sue, you've been a great leader, and you're not getting off the hook so lightly. We've got you lined up and got you jobs for the district. So thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. That's very kind. Thanks very much, Barbara. Thank you. I'd like to hand over to Nigel now, who is going to introduce his team. This is the assembly part of our meeting today. He's going to introduce his team for his presidential year. Over to you, Nigel.
Thank you. We now move on to the business part of our meeting, where the chairman of the committees have the opportunity to showcase their committees. We have 3 chairmen continuing on: Jane Bradshaw in International, Kevin Robinson in Youth, and Robin Rain in Foundation. And we have 2 new boys on the team. We have Peter Phillips, who will take over from me at Community Service, and we have Paul Robinson, who will take over from Andrew Wilson on Club Service. So let's start. I'd like Jane Bradshaw to open up, please.
Right, okay, hello. So the International Committee puts into practice the Rotary International Guiding Principle, which is the advancement of international understanding, goodwill and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. So our theme continues to be helping people to help themselves, and this has been reflected in our choice of projects and activities today. Some of the things which we've continued to support over the years include shelter boxes, these fantastic boxes with typical supplies like emergency relief tents, blankets, water storage, filtration equipment, cooking utensils, stoves, basic toolkits, children's activities packs. And what we do is, when shelter boxes respond in the case of a major disaster, earthquake, flood, famine, we then help them to replenish their stock of shelter boxes to be ready for the next thing. And then we also have ongoing support for Mercy Ships, which is this team of nurses, doctors and surgeons and other crew members from all over the world who donate their time to help on board the world's largest non-governmental floating hospital. Together they've helped transform the lives of more than 2.5 million people in the poorest countries of the world since 1978. We've supported over the years PCDC, which is Practical Compassion for Destitute Children, which is a Tyneside-based charity, and that's dedicated to serving children in crisis in the Holy Land, regardless of race, creed or colour. They give financial, practical and prayer aid through their child sponsorship scheme. Those are just some of the kinds of projects that have got our ongoing support. We supported a new project this year following a talk in September, and that was Tele-EEG, which you will have seen we got good press coverage for, thanks to Sue, which is a project to support people by setting up effective telemedicine epilepsy clinics in the developing world. And these are supported remotely by leading consultants wherever they may be in the world, hence the tele part. The club has made 1 donation so far, which resulted in a new clinic being set up, and I anticipate we'll continue supporting this very worthy cause. A bit more about the committee. We do prefer projects which are connected to Rotary and or local people who we've met, and better still if they're supervised by people with whom we have a connection, so that we know our donations are properly used. That's why it was so good to hook up with Charlotte from Tele-EEG, who lives up the road in Barnard Castle. And really the breadth of support to international causes just from the Rotary Club of Darlington is impressive and considerable. There's lots of things I haven't even mentioned and haven't got time to go into, but I should also mention the wonderful school at Vingagini, which is promoted by Peter Phillips and which we will obviously continue to support. All Rotarians have a part to play. Nothing could be a clearer illustration of this than Rotary International's pioneering work in eradicating the other virus, polio. People sometimes say that's only in the history books, but the need goes on. There's no cure for polio. Treatment focuses on supporting bodily functions and reducing the risk of long-term problems. Polio affects mainly children under the age of 5, but there is no cure. It's entirely preventable, however, with a vaccine. And there's only 3 countries in the world that remain where it remains endemic, and they are Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nigeria. Rotary's efforts have reduced cases by 99.9%, but until we end polio forever, every child is at risk everywhere in the world. So keeping awareness raised is vital, and our club was active this year in promoting World Polio Day in October through PR initiatives and organising information stands. So that's it from me for now. Under normal circumstances, we meet on the first Tuesday of every other month here at the hospice where I work, but our next meeting is going to be by Zoom on July the 7th at 6 p.m, when we'll look at what we've done in the last year and potential new projects, one of which is an exciting thing called toilet twinning, and I'll leave you to think about that. So thank you very much. Thank you to President Sue, who's been an amazing supporter and has provided leads to new causes and hasn't missed any of our meetings before lockdown. And also thank you to the International Committee members and all of the club members for your support for international causes.
Thank you very much, Jane. That was very interesting about what your committee gets up to. I think also we might have another link for the Halo Trust.
Yes, we do. We're waiting for them to come back to us with a suitable project.
Yes, so I think he spoke very well, the gentleman. So
that's the landmines, yeah, the landmines project.
Right, so next up is Kevin Robinson, please, for Youth Committee.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Barbara, guests and fellow Rotarians and family members who've joined the meeting today. I'm delighted to be asked to be by our new President Nigel to do a second term as Youth Chair. I mean, we all know that he only asked me because there was nobody else. And it's not that I did a fantastic job or anything last year, but the queue to do the job wasn't really long. It was only me. So I am appreciative of being asked. And to do the second term, I'd like to really acknowledge and thank our immediate past President Sue Campbell for her leadership and advice throughout an extremely successful but unprecedented year of office for herself. Last year, with the help of Bill Harrison, who I hope will continue his support of the Youth Committee as Secretary, we made some real improvements in how we met and did business, and I'm hoping that very soon we'll be able to again meet on a monthly basis. 10 times a year is what we've got planned. We normally do that at the Tapper Spa, albeit with social distancing in place, you know, to share a drink and have some good company whilst laying out our plans and delivering some old faithful projects. One of the things we need to do is we need to look at some innovative ways in which we work with the young people of Darlington, and we need to find different ways and different people of doing that. What I do know is that we will need to meet as a committee, and as Jane said, you know, we need to sort of look and get a Zoom meeting up as soon as possible, because obviously we have a lot of people who may well not want to go into a public place. So we need to find ways in which we can get back on track. One of the things is that during all the times, we've worked really closely with the schools and with youth work. And at the moment, we do know that nationally, we're told there'll be no projects really up and running. And Barbara might want to add something to this, but most of them are on hold until 2021 in January. But they, of course, remain under review, particularly with the lifting of restrictions on COVID. As a club throughout our distinguished history, we focused on improving the lives of young people in the town and have done so with huge passion and energy. And I expect that will continue with the new members we've got and with all members who want to get involved in the youth committee. Darlington Rotary Club has a rich history of delivering a vision and working with the young people of Darlington and the surrounding areas. Nigel, our president this year, has made it clear that youth is one of his major projects during his presidency, and he's given full support for a lot of the work that we're going on. Things on the agenda next year are a debating or a public speaking competition, which is supported by our MP, Peter Gibson, who's been proactive in trying to get a lot of local people involved to try and get the schools up and running. Again, some of the issues around any competition will be, whether it's on Zoom or not, will be whether the schools feel they've got the time or want to put the effort into that, particularly as the curriculum will be so squashed next year. There's a technology tournament that Chris Bayliss runs. We have schools in the juniors, not just the senior schools, but some of the junior school technology is things that Chris is trying to push. Austin Brooks Award, as we always do, very successful with that. And last year we had only one school that didn't attend. But again, Austin Brooks, because of the nature of the hustings that we have for it, where everyone has to come together, then social distancing, if it's still on, we might have to find new and innovative ways in which we do that. The kids out at Beamish Museum, we have schools that we want to sign up for that. Young musician, chef, writer, photographer, they're all on the agenda for next year. And of course, the Rotary Young Leaders Award, which has been moved and put on hold this year. But there's issues around people with mental health, particularly young people coming out of lockdown, and the ways in which we can engage with them. Green power, building an environmental vehicle to race for some of our senior schools. And then we move on to the development of some of the things, you know, the excellent work that Nigel did around Rotary Kids. And really with just one person, as Nigel showed, could have a huge impact on developing Rotary Kids in a primary school. You know, the things that they developed, collecting crisp packets, doing environmental work around Reed Street, were just awe-inspiring, really. And it was great pleasure for Nigel to see Nigel go and give them and get them as a verified Rotary Kids Rotary organisation, and they took great pride in that. And then we've got Interact, and of course Nancy's on the line today, and you know there isn't enough superlatives to say how fantastic QE were under the leadership of Nancy, and I'm sure she may well get the chance to speak today, and that she's been absolutely amazing, and we've fully supported the work that she's done, and we can do that not just with QE, but we just need some people to engage with some of the schools. There was 2 or 3 of the senior schools who were getting interested pre-COVID, and if people are keen and want to get involved, it's just really 2 or 3 meetings with people, and then, as Nancy would probably tell you, you can pick up some of the stuff that's out there nationally. We have Rotaract, which we've with Danny Brown, and we've tried to get that up and running. And there's again, it's not an easy task, but you've got to give some credit to Danny in terms of trying to take that forward. And then I don't know, but most people know, but the committee actually role is to organise members' visits. And in the great words of Boris Johnson, he said, oven ready. So we have oven ready visits to the Tetley Tea Factory, the Daisy Chain Charity, Cleveland Bridge Engineering Company, where I served my time, believe it or not. Some people would say, well, it's obviously served your time there, Kevin. Cummins Engines, the Buddhist Centre, and Amazon, but that may well be in Doncaster. What I would say, though, is youth committees can only be successful, and you've probably picked this up already, if we, as Rotarians, do what we do best, and that's engaging with people, not just young people, but people who run young people projects. We need to set up those projects, and we need to align ourselves to like-minded people. We need to find places in which we can work with them that are the benefit to us all. I'd like to be able to say, Mike Hall, you do this, or can you help me with this, David Selby, or Rolly Lang, please come and, you know, can we get involved in those kind of things? And if we can, and we can get people just to do, you know, that few little bits, then I think that we can make a huge difference to youth next year. We've got masses of projects, as you can see, and new ones coming online all the time. I believe that anyone undertaking any task should expect support when and whenever it's needed from myself and from fellow Rotarians. And with a great club, we always have great friendship, and we have great open conversations on the things that we can do. We can achieve more success and make things happen. Rotarians have been known for doing that throughout the years, and Barbara quite rightly praised the club over the many, many years that we've been in existence. And I'm a newbie, having only been in the club for coming up 5 years, but you know, the way that I was welcome and other people's have been welcomed just shows that we continue to re-emphasize what we do. We re-look at how we do things, and I think that's a great asset for all Rotarians. If we're not prepared to go do the extra mile to make life better for others, then I don't think life would get any better. I'm looking forward to members of this group, if you come and join us in Youth Committee, being vibrant with people, determined to make things happen, and generous with your time. And we'll make the next 6 to 12 months a success for the young people of Darlington. And I look forward to meeting with you all, and we will, between myself and Bill, get some dates and some ideas out in the next 2 to 3 weeks about when we'll next meet. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you for all you've done in the last year and all the projects that are ongoing. We also have possibly 2 more Rota Kids clubs who are very interested in setting up, so we can increase those. And there's a lot to do, and it needs all of us to help him do it. So next up, we have Paul Robinson, who is taking over as club service.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear all right? Lovely. Before I start, can I just congratulate Sue on leading the club through another successful year. I think every time we come to this sort of period, we can reflect on just what we've achieved. And again, despite all that's been happening recently, as a club, we've continued to achieve.
Thank you.
Club service. Club service, here we go, something different for me. And before I give any explanation of what the committee does and what it will be doing, I think it's more than appropriate for me to thank Andrew Wilson for his lengthy tenure as a committee chair. If I've got it right, about 5 years, Andrew, I can't see on screen, 4 or 5 years, thumbs up, 5 years. It's been an extensive period of time for him, and having looked at the aide memoir and the standard meeting agenda, even though I've sat on his committee, I probably appreciate now more the work that has been put in and needs to be put in, and what's expected of the committee. Fortunately for me, it's helpful that Andrew has agreed to stay on the committee, which will ensure a smooth handover and transition period and make sure that things continue as they have been so far. For new members, club service is the committee that works in the background to ensure the smooth running of the club. And this involves meetings every 2 months, and hopefully we'll be able to meet in person at some time back at St. Teresa's, but in the interim we'll work on some internet-based meetings. We need to liaise with the Dolphin Centre regarding our meetings, and I could set a challenge and say that my aim is for the Dolphin Centre to provide food that Tony Marshall will eat, and for a sound system that lets Ken Wiper and Derek Alderson hear what's going on, but that might be a step far. We need to organise an annual ball, obviously subject to the what the President wants. We will continue to provide liaison with Mulheim for our 2 yearly visits, This is something I've undertaken for several years, and I'm more than happy to continue to do so. The club also oversees membership and the membership development subcommittee. We've had a tremendous year this year in attracting new members, and I trust that the committees will continue to achieve this again in the forthcoming year. Club service also ensures that the club Facebook pages and website are fit for purpose, and I'm aware a lot of work has been done in the background. Jane Bradshaw in particular has put a lot of work into this for the website, and Charlotte Phillips, you're not on my screen at the moment, Charlotte, I can't see you, but you've done a lot of great work with Facebook, and Sue has led from the front with Twitter. This leads on to public relations, which obviously involve Facebook, Twitter and the website, and continued use of the local press. We'll also make sure that we have speakers for our lunchtime meetings when they resume. And the big one, the handover dinner, but not this year. Although the aim is to have a dinner to welcome our new President Nigel once restrictions have been lifted sufficiently to allow it. This is a busy committee, and I hope that existing committee members will remain, and I look forward to seeing new members become involved. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you for taking over from Andrew, but I know you'll have him by your side. So now we move on to Robin Rain for Foundation.
Good afternoon, everybody, fellow Rotarians and guests. My role in Foundation, quite a number of years ago now, was a little bit of a default, how I got involved with it. I was asked in David Heaton's year to support Roy Fenner, which I duly did in that year. And then Roy very cunningly pushed it over onto me the year after. And ever since then, it's been one massive learning curve around Foundation. It's so much bigger than I ever thought it would be. And there is so much information out there about Foundation, which is the charity of Rotary. So our committee will meet quarterly. We'll try and make it a social setting so everybody who joins the committee can enjoy it, and we can have some great fellowship while we discuss money. Our objectives for the year ahead is to support President Nigel and the club in the understanding of what the Rotary Foundation is, what it achieves, and why it is so important for Darlington Rotary Club to be involved in Foundation. To highlight and source grant availability to support the projects for our international youth services and community services chairs and committees. So everything that Jane, Paul and Peter and Kevin do, I'm at the back trying to support to see if there's any grants available that will help move things forward. Also to help highlight and align district goals. So Foundation District, their goals and how they do align with our club goals in Darlington for the year ahead. To interact with other clubs within district on possible joint projects which would enhance the local community, which sits within the Rotary's 6 areas of focus. And several of those areas of focus, economic and community development, schools, basic education, literacy, are just some of the ones that we can get involved with as a local club. And by working together with other clubs, we can create a greater impact on our community. One example that I can share with you, that we worked with Bishop Auckland and Barnard Castle in supporting the District MS Society, which covers the Dales and into Darlington. And collectively, we raised funds and got matched funding from district to help support aromatherapy for the MS. We've also supported with grant funding Samaritans, DAD, young carers. They're just a flavour of what we can do in any financial year with Rotary to help move projects forward. I would also like to think we could promote to Darlington Rotary Club how our giving to Foundation has impacted and changed lives and saved lives both at home and throughout the world. Foundation is a massive giving of funds out to others in desperate need of help, and Foundation and funding goes a long, long way the more we get involved with it. And it's very appropriate to say the more we give to Foundation, the more we get out and the more people benefit. It's also to promote and get involved later in the year with polio, as Jane mentioned. I believe it's October, November time. Foundation will be supporting Jane in that quest with the Gates Foundation. because the Gates Foundation multiply, I think it's 2 to 1, any funding raised. So the more we can raise, the more we know we can help eradicate polio around the world. And then we move on to global grants. Global grants are worldwide, where we pick an international project that we can look for funding for. And we've been working with a global grant for quite some time now, which Peter Phillips brought forward with the Big Magini project. We've spent at least 2 years pulling together information, putting it forward for approval, getting it kicked back, and then going back in and putting forward to approval again. And I can tell the club today at 10 o'clock, I got an email saying it's now being pushed forward. Everybody has now signed the project, so it's now gone to the next stage for scrutiny. So hopefully this time it will go all the way, and the journey will end up in Big Magini, helping those children with sanitation, with reading, with education, which the project is all about. And we are open for other projects. Also, any other global projects that come to mind from anybody, please push them forward. Let's have a look at them. And we can even do it in this country, because if we go to Scotland, that's classed as international. So between England and Scotland, we could actually run a project in the UK, which we could get global funding for. So there are lots and lots of avenues where we can help as a foundation committee. So Sue, it's been a fantastic year. I've really enjoyed our time together as a Rotarian in our Rotary year. You've been brilliant. We've made some massive inroads in difficult times. As with the rest of the team, it's been great. I am so looking forward to working with Nigel in your year. I think we've got a great team to move forward and make massive things happen for the future. So thank you all.
Thank you very much, Robin. And thank you for all the work you've been doing with Foundation. And I'm sure, as you say, there are some great opportunities to get some money from Foundation for grants. Now then, we move on to Peter Phillips, who's taking over from me at Community Service. Is he there?
Got to unmute yourself.
How about that? Am I unmuted? Can you all hear me? Good. It's an honour for me to go from being a Rotarian to becoming a chairman of a committee. I think at this meeting of this time, Assembly combined with Handover is probably one of the most important of the Rotary year. So I'm pleased to see that a number of people wearing ties and jackets and offering the respect that such a meeting deserves. If you'll excuse me, I'll just close this door. Don't know how the video was there, but Sue, it's been a fantastic year to be a Rotarian under your guidance and presidency.
Thank you.
As our First Lady President, I think you've set that bar extremely high. And we look forward to your support, as I understand it, that you're going to give us through district and also
Absolutely.
on our other committees.
Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. My thanks too go to Nigel, and I'm sure that's reinforced by all past members of the Community Service Committee. Nigel has been chair for over 6 years, and through that time he's been an excellent leader. He's a brilliant collector of ideas, bringing them together and finding a volunteer to push them forward and promote them within the committee. He holds prompt and timely meetings, and basically he is an extremely hard act to follow. I also have to thank Fred Johnson. Fred, I don't know if you're here today, but Fred has agreed to continue being secretary of the committee. The way he does it so quickly, efficiently and accurately, I can't understand why everybody doesn't want to be secretary. So thank you, Fred, for past service, and thank you so much for continuing. I say Nigel's a hard act to follow, but in fact, he's not such a hard act to follow, as he's set up so many successful activities and they've become so well established that they are worth continuing, and we shall seek to do that into the next year. If it ain't broke, we certainly don't want to fix it. We do a lot. For new members, I could go through a list, and I will circulate this to everybody, but I'm looking at something over 20 activities, from the 10K run through the Xmas trees, Call My Quaff, Italian and Indian nights, humour at Headlam, disabled games. There's the golf tournament, which needs to be resumed, Janet, and so it goes on, the Coits evening and everything. So those are some of the things we do. And the most important thing that we do is have fun and fellowship. We also help a lot. I have another list here of major good causes, which again I will circulate. Many of you will know them, of course: St. Teresa's Hospice, the Food Bank, the Samaritans, Age UK, QE College, a number of schools, various groups within those schools, future champions, the list goes on. We intend to keep some of those things going and indeed add to the list. For new members, community service examines any possibility for the club to raise funds locally within the community and respond to local requests for money to improve that community or the esteem of individuals or groups within the community. So we raise funds. Marshalling on the 10K gives us a good share of the income from that run. But virtually all of our fundraisers are fundraisers. We assess requested donations for good causes in the community. We examine those requests from local individuals, teams, groups, organizations generally, who are working to improve our community. We have criteria under which we examine those requests, and if we consider they are worthy, we pass them on to council, who of course hold the purse strings, and if they give their endorsement, then we press ahead. We follow them through, and they often come and speak to us on our Friday lunchtimes so that we learn more about their activities. We certainly try to help others under the umbrella of our motto, service above self. Service for the elderly, Let's Hear, the disabled games, again, there is a long list. But most importantly, we have fun. Tempered, of course, with good fellowship and very often fundraising. The HIT Squad is an example where we spend a few hours together, often with great physical effort, improving the location of worthy cause, old folks' gardens, charity shop renovation, painting, even if they don't want to be painted, churchyard tidying. The range goes on. We are very creative. Thank you to Alan. I think I can say that all of our events involve fun and fellowship. Sometimes we set out to raise money and then the fun follows, like the Christmas trees and the golf tournament. Sometimes we set out to have fun and the money flows afterwards, like the restaurant nights and the bike riding. This year, as I said earlier, we want to repeat the successful events. The HIT Squad, the restaurant nights, Christmas trees, of course, Santa Run Magic Concert, New Year's Day dip, Richard, get your Speedos on. But new ideas are also important and very, very welcome. I would like to develop an idea put forward by Honorary Rotarian Roger James. He thought of the idea of beating the world marathon record, not alone, but with the help of others. It has great potential. It will involve the schools, each running a certain distance in like a relay race. And if we can cover a certain distance in a certain time, we could actually crack the 2 hours of the marathon. So we're going to look at that. It involves youth groups, schools. It catches the community's eye for the general publicity of Rotary events. In fact, it just ticks all the boxes. Finally, members of the Community Service Committee. We will be signing up new members for this next year, 2021, from a clean sheet. Some members have served their time and we thank them very much for that service. They maybe don't attend meetings so often now, but we offer them our thanks and they are always welcome as they do participate in events. For those who attend, and particularly new members, we encourage involvement and contribution. It helps spread the load and it makes every event a success. When we have a list of those wishing to join the Community Service Committee this year, I will communicate, reiterating some of these points and set out our programme for 2021. If we cannot meet bodily, as it were, and I hope we can retain the tapas bar, if they put the expansion in to accommodate us. If not, we will Zoom it. But it's important that we meet, share our ideas, and have another successful year for community service. Thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Peter. Thank you for all your support last year and all the ideas that you have. I'd also like to thank Fred Johnson for being an outstanding secretary. Sometimes too good, because the minutes are on my email before I get home from the tapas bar. So you'll have to temper those, because my meetings are only a 3-pint meeting, but Mr. Phillips's, no doubt, will be 4 or 5-pint meetings. And there was one other idea I think we had discussed, Peter, was, I call it your library in a container, where you wanted to collect lots of books up, and then they go in a container, and then the container is sent out to Africa. So it's a bit of a joint community service and international project, because we're involved in collecting the books, and I think SG Petch will lend us a van to take them down to the distribution centre. So 2 excellent new projects. So thank you all, Chairman and new Chairman. We are going to start with a complete clean sheet of committees. So Jed will be sending out an email for you to sign up to committees, because the lists need a bit of refreshing. There are some people on there who perhaps are not attending so often as Peter said. So we'd like to refresh the list and start anew. There are probably only about 35 who attend. So if we could refresh all the lists when Jed sends it out, and then we'll start with a clean sheet. So thank you all for listening, and I'm handing back over to Sue now.
Thank you very much, Nigel. There's not a lot of food for thought for the coming year, and I wish all the committee chairs, the remaining ones and the new ones, the best for the next year. I hope now that members either invite or have with them their partners and spouses. We invited people to come along, spouses to come along and kind of sit in for this part, the handover part of this event. So I hope everybody bring people along. Hello everybody, nice to see you all. Before I go on, I'd like to ask the outgoing president of Inner Wheel, Lynn Waterfall Brown, who would like to say a few words. Lynn, can you unmute yourself and speak?
Hopefully I'm unmuted, am I?
Excellent, you are.
Excellent. Yeah, I've got Nigel at hand, so you see, that's why he's prepared. Well, good afternoon, everybody. President Sue, Rotary members, guests, and fellow members of Darlington and Wheel. Nice to see you all. And normally I would have been saying grace. So I'm sorry you've not sat in front of a lovely lush meal, etc., etc. I'm sure it'll happen one day, but not just at the moment. At the Rotary dinner. So I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words today. When I became president of Inner Wheel, I looked forward to my year working with Rotary. As your first woman president was my ex-head of journalism, media, art and design. President Sue, as at the college, has done an excellent job and excelled using her journalistic skills for all your newsletters during these very difficult times. And I believe Nigel has asked you to keep up the good work.
Yeah.
President Sue was involved in the Wheel in planning some very special charity events, which unfortunately have been unable to take place. But we look forward to proceeding with these, Nigel, at some point in the future when circumstances allow. So we look forward to that, be good. On behalf of Inner Wheel, I would like to wish incoming President Nigel every success in his forthcoming year. Knowing Nigel as I do, I'm sure he will make Rotary proud, especially with Aileen by his side to keep him on track. I can only hope that Nigel, that you at some point can get to enjoy the normal, more interactive and social Rotary experience. And I'm sure that Nigel, that all the members and guests today will be there to support you and make your year one to remember. At least the theme for your next dinner dance will be easy to arrange, possibly earned another masked ball with social distancing. I would say so. Can I ask members and guests to join me in raising their hands to clap to thank President Sue and the new incoming President Nigel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lynn. That's your kind words and for being with us today. The next bit of this is kind of my outgoing speech. So welcome everybody again, Rotarians, guests, spouses, partners. To say this has been a unique year is a bit of an understatement. At the handover in June, I talked about it being a unique year when I was inducted as Darlington Rotary's first woman president. But little did I know that that would be trumped by the world's first pandemic in more than 100 years. I clearly don't do things by half. Unique hardly covers it. So if you'll forgive my maths, this presidency has been a game of two halves. The first 8 months or so filled with enthusiastically supported and amazing events, the July bike ride, the Christmas Magic concert, the Rotary Ball, dementia training, the Friends event, golf competitions, much, much more. Rotarians and friends coming together and experiencing much fun, much fundraising, and much fellowship. It's what we do best. And then the last 4 months, we've come together by lots of virtual meetings and newsletters and Steve Rose's fiendish weekly quiz. And haven't we all got quickly used to using Zoom, which is a fantastic way of keeping together. We've also continued to do some of what makes Darlington Rotary great. We have had fun, we have fundraised, and we've had some socially distanced fellowship. I'm immensely proud of the way this club has responded, held together and even grown. As Paul mentioned, we've inducted 10 new members this year. We've got another one to come, and we've inducted 2 during this last 4 months of lockdown, which is an amazing achievement for this club. Sadly, we lost 4 members and honorary members, Norman Bainbridge, Mike Challens, Mahini Kelkar and Ron Hall. We've done so much to help our community during these last few months. We've been sewing, we've been delivering groceries and medicines, keeping people in touch and being kind. There was, of course, much more I wanted us to do together, but our planned events fell victim as time went on to the virus, the annual golf tournament, the handbag exchange we were doing within a wheel, the Call My Quaff event, and of course, the handover dinner. Though we did manage some amazingly successful socially distanced sponsored bike riding last weekend. Absolutely brilliant result, more than £3,500 raised. Absolutely phenomenal. But we've still, in the last 4 months, we've given away more than £6,500 to local charities and the NHS and actually managed to raise around £5,500, thanks to your involvement and support. I don't think there are many clubs who could say that. When I was inducted last June, I said that 2 of my focuses would be on young people and on improving communications. And I'd like to think the results of those aims stand up to scrutiny. As Kevin's mentioned, in terms of young people, our fantastic Interact Club, whose Rotary Link is Michelle Thompson, has gone from strength to strength and garnered 2 national awards, one for Best Project and another as Young Citizens of the Year. We also saw the induction led by Nigel of new Rotary kids at Reed Street Primary School, which was making huge progress before lockdown and I'm sure will rise again. We took part in a young person's debating competition with the Youth Partnership of Darlington coming second, and of course held our annual Austin Brooks Day where we celebrate the achievements and determinations of young people across the borough. I also work with the Mayor of Darlington when he reintroduced the essay writing competition for school children to be junior mayor for the day. It's been a very good year for youth, and I know it's going to go on to be even better, and I'd like to thank Kevin Robinson for all his efforts along with this committee. In terms of communication, I think we've made a lot of progress. I introduced a regular PR team. That's Tony Marshall, Jane Bradshaw, Kath McCall and Charlotte Phillips and me, who've been fantastic in helping push the profile of the club to new levels. Thanks to them, our exposure on Facebook, through Charlotte, in the press and radio, we've had several radio interviews, and on Twitter, through direct contact with the public, it's exceeded my expectations and hopes. And we're continuing, we've spoken to Nigel, we're continuing this group into the new presidential year, and we'll be working hard to raise our profile even further. Although we are focused on and have done much to help local charities and causes, we are an international organisation, and as Jane mentioned, we've been involved in a number of projects, the Vineyard Genie Project, World Polio Day, and our support for Tele-EEG Epilepsy Worldwide project. I want to just thank all the committee chairs, Kevin on Youth Service, Jane on International, Robin on Foundation, Nigel on Community Service, and Andrew Wilson on Club Service, who've all done the most fantastic job. Many thanks to our Treasurer, Tony Dennett, Membership Lead, Bill Harrison, Health and Safety Lead, David Hayward, and Promotions Guru, Tony Marshall, who've all given great service. And to my council members, who all brought the most invaluable experience and knowledge to the table. I'm ever in your debt for the support you've given me, both pre and post-COVID. I thank you all sincerely. I want to thank especially Jed, our secretary, Jed Wiper. He's not only been the most reliable and organised of secretaries, he's been an important sounding board and friend to me. He and his wife Lucy have been a wonderful support throughout this year, and I'm enormously grateful. He always had my back. I'm not sure I could have done it without you, and I know you'll give our incoming President Nigel the same amazing support. You're a star. One other person I'd like to thank is sitting here beside me, my husband Bill Oldfield, and that's where he's been throughout, by my side, encouraging, helping, supporting me all the way. He's also my bike ride proxy, riding to raise money with the Rotary bike team. He's been my rock and comfort, and a simple thank you seems inadequate. But thank you, darling. And I know you'll continue to support me in my future role. Most of you will know I've been asked to take on the job of communications lead for Rotary District. It'll be an interesting role, which I'm sure will have its challenges, but I hope I can rise to that challenge as this club has risen to the challenge of the last few months. I'd like to wish incoming President Nigel the very best going forward. Thank him for his support this year. I know he'll bring the same values and commitment as he always has done to the job of President. Nigel is a true Rotarian, and I know him and Aileen will enjoy the year, whatever it brings. Let's hope we can get together and have a proper social welcome in the not too distant future. Good luck, Nigel, and you know I will lend whatever assistance I can in your year. So thank you all, fellow Rotarians, and your spouses and partners, for all the support you've given me in this last extraordinary year. There is no better, more committed club in the country than Darlington Rotary. And I'm very proud to have been its president. Thank you.
Well done, Sue. Well done, Sue.
All right.
Fantastic, Sue. Well done.
Thank you. A couple of more things I need to do before we do the actual handover, and one of them is to do the roll call of past presidents. who are here to, hopefully who are all here today. Normally we'd get everybody to stand up and take a bow, but we're not going to be able to do that. So you can just wave. That would be a good thing. So from the most recent, we've got Paul Robinson, who was our president in 2018, Steve Rose, 2017, Chris Wiper, 2016, David Heaton, 2015, Ken Wiper, 2014, Roly Lang, 2012, Bob Whitehouse, 2011, Alan Cowie, 2010, Derek Rigsby, 2009, Peter Armitage, 2005, Peter Tyndale, 2002, Roger James, sorry, I beg your pardon, 2003, Derek Alderson, 2002, Roger James, 2000, Bill Carter, 1999, David Normington, 1997. I'm not sure if Alistair is here, but Alistair McConaughey, 1991. So thank you all for your obviously your past service. At this point, I'm happy. I'm just checking. Is Bob Whitehouse with us? Hi, Bob. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm just got the background just with wishful thinking.
Very pleased to see you. The last task of the presidential year is one that always gives the president great pleasure. And it's to introduce the club and our friends to a Paul Harris awardee. A club can request a Paul Harris recognition to recognise either a Rotarian or non-Rotarian who in its opinion is worthy of this award. Clubs in Rotary, Great Britain and Ireland have traditionally reserved this honour to mark their appreciation for outstanding service to Rotary. Most deservedly, this award goes to a highly respected Rotarian and past president of Darlington Rotary, who's been a member of this club for 36 years after having joined in 1984. Essentially a member to whom we owe a great debt, as he's always been there to organise, make sure things happen, help and advise in whatever he's been involved in recent years as club secretary. He's been an enthusiastic member of the club's committees and was instrumental in setting up Rotary Kids. He's a font of knowledge on all things Rotary and always available for sound advice. Presidents who have benefited from his wise counsel, I know, will agree. This is for you, Rotarian Bob Whitehouse.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We will get your citation and your jewel to you in due course. Would you like to say anything, Bob?
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed all the time that I've had and hope to have many more years of Rotary. I still wish to do some work with Rotary. This year's my 70th birthday, so I'm one of those people who've got to watch where they go, and that really is upsetting me because I like to travel and I like to do things and see people. But the fellowship in Rotary has been excellent. From when I joined being nominated by Alan Vickers many, many years ago, who came up to me in court and said, I've got something I want you to do, and that was to join Rotary. Little did I know that he'd already canvassed members to see whether I was suitable to join before he'd actually asked me. We've had the Northeastern Hotel where the waitresses tip the soup down you regularly. We went to the, there was a whole raft of issues with the Northeastern Hotel, which we won't go into publicly. But so then we went to the Dolphin Centre. I've had some absolutely superb visits, Mulheim, and a lot of fellowship going to places. And on behalf of all the members, I think Rotary does a lot for the town, and I am indebted to all the people who supported me over the years. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Bob. Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thank you.
And we'll get your citation to you, of course, in the fullness of time.
Thank you.
We now actually come to the handover of the chain. So I'm going to take, this is the small chain, and I'm going to take that off. And Nigel is going to put on the big chain. Do you want to unmute yourself, Nigel?
Yes, I'm
there you go. So Nigel has the chain on. So congratulations, Nigel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Right, I'm going to say a few words. Firstly,
I think my husband Bill is going to give me the past president's chain. So I've got the past president's
right.
little badge. So that he's going to pin that on me. Careful, careful, careful.
Explosion.
There we go. Thank you very much. So there's mine. Thank you very much, Nigel.
Right. Thank you, Sue.
So
well,
off you go. Yeah.
Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you, Bob Whitehouse, on your Paul Harris Fellowship Award. Thoroughly deserved. Not as a certain gentleman last year. I think he called it a Rolf Harris Award, I think, if I'm mistaken. Anyway, congratulations. So I'm going to say a few words now as incoming president or new president. Fellow Rotarians and guests, welcome. We have over 60 of you here tuned in, but then obviously since about 1 o'clock, I haven't counted, but there've been a lot more who've added to the audience. So welcome. I'd like to give a special mention to Rotarian Peter Armitage, who's zoomed in from Cirencester, and we'll hear a little bit from him later. My good friend Bill Robson, who's zoomed in from Bishop Auckland, so thank you for coming. And our two daughters, Jo and Kaz, who have joined us from Tanzania and Canada. I think for Canada, it's probably a bit early in the morning, so she's had to get up a bit early, I think. So thank you very much for granting me the honor and privilege of being Darlington Rotary Club president. I'm not sure who is involved in selecting presidents. They obviously are not very thorough in checking people out, because I certainly have slipped under the radar. I first joined Rotary in 2010 and have become president a little sooner than I expected, as sadly 2 vice presidents passed away before they could take on the role. So, Mary Green and Mike Challens, you are both firmly in our thoughts today, and sadly, the club missed out on having 2 great presidents. Some of you will remember my father, Tony Little, and may recall that he was president in 1971. Looking down the list of former presidents, I see there is one other father-son combination, and that namely is Ken Warren in 1980 and Barry Warren in 1995. I was always very amused when I joined Rotary. Barry would always address me as Tony, as I bear a strong resemblance to my father. I never ever corrected him, and I think this went on for over 2 years that he called me Tony. Now the time has come to say a few words about past President Sue. Past President. Sue, our first woman president, and I'm sure not our last. You will be a very hard act to follow. You have been ever present, attending all the Friday meetings, all the committee meetings, and you've increased the membership too, especially our women members. And I think if I've counted right, we now have 13 women members. It's terrific. Above all, you have raised our profile, using your expertise to keep Darlington Rotary Club ever present on Facebook, Twitter, in the Northern Echo, on Radio Tees, and also in the district and national Rotary magazine. And through all of this, the club has become very, very well known. I'm delighted to confirm that Sue will continue to head up the PR and media group and keeping us right there in the spotlight. However, above all, in these difficult times, you have kept us going as a very vibrant club. No mean achievement. You have done things like the weekly newsletters, the quizzes, encouraging fundraising, which has raised over £5,000, using Zoom for council and Friday meetings, almost unheard of using this 6 months ago. And you look at the number of people who have managed to tune in to this, it's fantastic. It's been a great take-up of Rotarians to use Zoom. So, Sue, thank you for all you have done for us and our club. Now, my assistant Bill will help me here. I have a little something for you from me with all my sincere thanks, and my assistant should appear. Now, you probably thought he was out a bit long time yesterday. Well, he was meeting up with me.
Oh, I see.
There's a little something from me.
Oh, thank you so much. They're absolutely beautiful. You did. That was totally unexpected. Thank you very much.
I think there's a little something there for
you.
you.
There is.
And there's a little something for a second.
Oh, well, fantastic. Thank you. I shall drink that later. Thank you.
Good. So
thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. Very much appreciate that. Beautiful.
Now, I'd like to say a few words about my hopes for Darlington Rotary Club during the next year. Firstly, we must continue having fun and fellowship.
Yes.
Without this, it is hard to achieve anything. And it is essential that we all get involved in the various activities the club offers. And you've heard from the committee chairman, we do a lot, but let's all get involved in it. As you will know, as community service chairman, I've been involved in establishing the annual bike ride, the Indian night, the Italian night, Call My Quaff, wine evenings, all good fun and helping to raise our much needed funds. When we are allowed out to play again, I would be delighted to see these continue. Also, as we've not been able to have a handover dinner, I would like to propose that we hold the President's Black Tie evening at Headlam Hall, hopefully before the end of the year. This will also give the Monty Python sketch team the opportunity to perform. However, finding things to say about me will be very difficult, I think. Don't you? One of the things I have enjoyed most in Rotary is the Alan Cowie Hit Squad, and I would really like us to get behind this again. It offers great service to our communities and gives us a lot of fun too, and you heard from Peter about that. Two things I'd like us to improve on are firstly, the welcoming and mentoring of new members. A club member will be allocated to a new member to buddy up with them. This means introducing them around the club members, taking them to each of the different committee meetings, making them aware of the various activity groups we have, golf, walking, cycling, and the quiz team, and also getting them involved. So please remember, new members are the people who will keep our club going, and they will be our future team leaders and officers of our club. Secondly, I would like to encourage visits to our other clubs as a group of maybe 6 or 8. But I noticed in yesterday's Northern Echo that a good friend of mine, Warnock Kerr, has just become president of Richmond. So that could be one club we'll put on our list of visits. And I'm sure we might go back to Bishop Auckland if we're allowed. Finally, I'd like to thank you all for joining the meeting. I am your 98th president, if I've got my maths right, which is a great honour. I will wear this chain of office with great pride when we are allowed out to play. I also think it'll look rather good in number 22, at the rugby club, in restaurants, at dinner parties, and of course on the bike ride. I'm sure David Hayward will have it fully insured for accidental damage or loss. So to conclude, thank you for listening to me. I trust most of you are still awake, which is not always the case on a Dolphin Centre meeting, and I wish you all a very enjoyable and healthy year. I am now like to hand over to my good friend, well, he is at the moment, Peter Armitage, who was Darlington Rotary Club President in 2005 and is now a member of Cirencester Rotary Club. So Peter, over to you.
Well, Nigel.
Thank you. Peter Armitage, come in, please, come in.
Has he unmuted himself?
Is he unmuted?
I think I'm unmuted by now.
Yes.
President Nigel, I think I'm the first to say that. Fellow Rotarians and fellow guests, can I thank you for the invitation to join your virtual handover, and to start by bringing greetings from the President of Cirencester Rotary Club, Mark Wilton, and from all the members. I'd like to start by congratulating Nigel on becoming President, and also congratulating Bob Whitehouse on his award of a Paul Harris Fellowship. Very well deserved, well done. It's a great privilege and honour, and indeed a pleasure, to have been asked to respond on behalf of the guests, especially as some 15 years ago, I was sat not so much in Nigel's position, but I had just taken over as president of the club from Rotarian Bob Devonport. It's interesting to have the club assembly and the handover at the same time, and it's been good to hear what you've all planned for the coming year. You've got many projects, and I wish you well with all of them. So on to Nigel. I've known Nigel for some 35 years. We moved into Linden Avenue in 1984, and about 6 months later, Nigel and Aileen moved in across the road. Our paths crossed on many occasions, and the recurring theme seemed to be the 3 Ds: dancers, dinners, and drink. I suspect many current Rotarians will have some empathy with the last of these Ds, i.e. drink. We've enjoyed many functions together with our wives. We've watched rugby together, we've been to cricket matches and to theatres. And we even did a Lent penance of non-alcohol together, culminating in a celebration of the end of it of far too many pints of draft Bass at the bridge at Stapleton. Let me say, we were not too good the following day. We've also managed to complete a few Great North runs together, ending in big family picnics on the green at South Shields. Yet again, I think drink was involved. Since our move south, we've kept in touch with Nigel and Aileen and have been to visit them and them to us on various social occasions. Had today been a normal handover, this would have been one of our visits. I've also kept in touch with Nigel's cycling exploits on the bike. He did many before joining Rotary, and since then has continued with that, raising vast amounts of money with Rotary colleagues for Rotary charities. A commendable effort. So, Darlington Rotarians, you have an exceptional president here, Make sure you support him during his year. I'm sure you will. Nigel, you've rightly earned the honour of becoming president of this club, following in your father's footsteps. He will be justly proud that the boy done good. So it only remains for me, on behalf of all your guests, to wish you well in your presidential year. Whatever you do in your year, make sure you enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Peter, for those very kind words. And nice to see you there as well, Liz. When we have the real dinner, I do hope you will both be able to come up and attend when we have a President's Evening.
We would love to come, and let's hope we can do so.
Yeah. So thank you very much indeed. I'm just looking at my notes, what has to happen. Is there an invitation for people to speak now? Is that right,
Yeah.
if they want to?
The idea was that just at the end now, if anybody wants to say anything, anybody wants to say a few words, they can do at the end of the presidential year. So if anybody wants to, if they put their hands up, we can take speakers.
You can't see it.
We can't see everybody. Does anybody want to say anything? No. Okay.
So,
Who was that? Oh, Tony.
Do you mind?
Yep.
Just on behalf of, as president of Spennymoor Club, so me and you have worked together throughout our year.
We have.
It's been an absolute pleasure for your guidance, and as well the assistant governor we have, Steve Rose, as well. Fantastic year, and I welcome all the best to Nigel in his year and all the members of Darlington Rotary Club. You've done fantastically. Keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you very much.
Tony.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to say anything?
Right.
Nope.
Is that
Doesn't
right?
look like it. So it's over to you, Nigel, for your final few words and toast.
The final toast is Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over.
Thank you very much, all of you, for coming. And let's have a great year. Let's hope we can get out and about.
All the best, Nigel. Cheerio.
All the
Bye-bye.
best, Nigel.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the best,
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sue. All the best, Nigel.
Nigel.
All the best.
Have a good year, Nigel. Thank you.
All the
Have a
best.
great year.
Nigel.
All the best.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe, stay well.
Have a good year. Bye, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Go on, Cameron.
Cheerio, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sue. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Nice to see you all.
Hope you enjoyed your red wine, Derek.
There's the only one drinking sensibly.
6.
Let him talk until then.
Yes, right, heritage.
18.
Okay.
No.
But I don't think it looks alive.